The Oklahoma City Thunder beat down the Phoenix Suns in the second half. They clinch the best record in the NBA. Jalen Williams playing his best basketball at the right time, and it's over in Phoenix.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Rylan_Styles, at LO Thunder Pod. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast from. And on today's show, we're talking about the Thunder beating down the Phoenix Suns and getting a win to clinch the best record in the NBA, home court advantage through the NBA Finals, Jalen Williams playing his best basketball at the right time, and so much more. But this game started out sluggish, understandably so. You had the Thunder, who were down 4 pivotal rotational players with SGA, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein not playing. You had the nature of a back-to-back and a travel back-to-back on top of that. And the Thunder were able to get the car back on the road after a lackluster start, especially defensively, that allowed the Suns to grow a 15-point lead. In a game that saw 5 lead changes, 6 ties, the Suns felt like, especially whenever they recovered from that, middle of the first quarter run by OKC to then grow their biggest lead of the night midway through the second quarter, it felt like the Suns were just going to have one of those nights, a surprising night, where a team that's looked defeated, a team that's looked like it's given up and are ready for Cancun 2 months ago, was hitting everything tonight, was playing for their season tonight, literally. And in that second quarter, they really kept the Thunder at an arm's distance until the bitter end when the Thunder went on a run to get it within 3, then settle it, about a 5-point deficit at halftime, and a 5-point deficit to start the third quarter for a minute or two. And then it was all Thunder from there, because the Thunder went on a 14-2 run. The Suns punched back one more time. Fate of their season on the line. They gave it one last punch in the middle of the third quarter, and that timeout, the stoppage, helped calm the waters. And eventually, the Thunder do what they do, and the Suns do what they do. The Thunder win, the Suns lose. The Thunder are resilient, the Suns quit. The Thunder have depth, the Suns do not. And that's what happened. And the Thunder ballooned their lead to 20, and they put the finishing touches on what's been a historic season, what's been a season worth appreciating. We don't know how the season will end. We'll make predictions all next week. We'll preview it all next week. But I can't promise you anything. I can't promise you that the season will or won't end with the Thunder hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. But regardless of how it ends, whether it's blue and orange confetti or disappointment, the regular season deserves to be celebrated. This season deserves to be relished in. This team deserves appreciation, because oftentimes it is about the journey. It is about getting to the end of, you invest in this team for 82 games, and this Thunder team, there's no better team to invest in than a team that goes out there and fights every night. A team that's won 66 games with 2 to play. And a team that's the best record in the NBA. And so clearly they've clinched that, and they have home court advantage to the finals. Now, it's great to stake your claim to that. And the reason that is that even if Cleveland won out and they won their last 3 games and the Thunder lost out, the best Cleveland could do would get to 66 games. That would match OKC, but the Thunder have the tiebreaker in the cross-conference record, because the Thunder have a historic cross-conference record and have only lost 1 time to the opposite conference, in the Thunder's case, the East. The best the team has done before this year, 3 losses to the cross-conference opponent. The Thunder have lost 1 time to the cross-conference opponent. So it's a historic season. It is a season worth celebrating. Now, the home court advantage to the finals, it's nice. You'd much prefer to have it than not. I think that Mark had the right approach about it. If it comes within the flow of the season, that's great. But they weren't like gunning for it. They weren't holding that at higher value than the internal stuff. Like even tonight, you're able to get rest for SGA. You're able to get rest for other guys. You were also able to put guys in different roles where Jalen Williams is the go-to scorer. Chet Holmgren is playing a more natural position. Isaiah Joe got way more touches. And like all these things, while you might gloss over them because you're ready for the next thing, you're ready for the next big moment, the next big game, the next just high stakes, high level matchup. These things do matter that happened tonight and could end up mattering a whole lot once you get to that next thing. So the Thunder didn't like gun for it. They just got it because they've been the best team in the NBA all season long, and they continue to be one. They continue to be the one. So it's great. But again, I still feel like when the ball's tipped and there you are in the NBA Finals, you play it in OKC, you play it in Cleveland, you play it in Boston, you play it on the moon. It doesn't really matter. You're going to try every which way to win that series, but clearly having Game 7 at home is the most important part should it get there. And the idea of having home court advantage to the finals only really matters if both number one seeds get to the end. We'll see. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. But still, it's a great accomplishment to have. It's just another thing to put on their resume. They have the best cross-conference record. They have the best record overall. They have the best record in the West, clearly. They have the most double-digit wins in NBA history for a single season. They have their franchise best record. This is special stuff. This is special stuff. And tonight, they got the win in the way that they needed to. Yes, the defense was lackluster in the first quarter, partly because of shot variance, partly because of sluggish play, but they got the car back on the road, only let up 112 points overall. Really, when the game was still in the balance, only let up 103 points from the Suns. And the Suns shoot 48% from the floor and then cool off from three, shooting 35% from three. They forced the Suns into 13 turnovers, and the Thunder turned it over 10 times. Most of those came in the first half, where the Thunder had some uncharacteristic turnovers, especially, I believe, in that first quarter it was. And then the Thunder won the rebounding battle. The Thunder dominate points in the paint. The Thunder dominate second chance points. The Thunder just crushed the Suns in fast break points. 27 fast break points. A plus 17 in the fast break category. That was OKC running and gunning. That was OKC capitalizing on those turnovers, capitalizing on winning the rebounding battle, and running the Suns out of their own gym to put them out of their misery, to end their season. And you know, I'm a hand-up guy. I admit when I'm wrong, hand up. I tell you how it is, and I've got to do a hand-up segment coming up. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at Prize Picks, go check out Prize Picks today because baseball season's in full swing. There's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, your best place to play daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. If you are right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money in cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. Prize Picks makes every game exciting. You can even do cross sport predictions, so you can take Bobby Witt Jr. more on hits and SGA more on points, and boom, if you're right, again, you're going to win some money. So go download the app today, use code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use code LOCKEDONNBA, get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 lineup. It is available in Oklahoma. Prize Picks, run your game. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. The Thunder got their 30th road win of the season against the Phoenix Suns, clinched the best record in the NBA, and ousted the Suns from postseason contention. Hand up, I was wrong. In our preview episodes, friend of the show, who has promised to be back for playoff previews, we'll see if that's going to be true, because Joel is a bit of a flake. Joel Lorenzi and I had a strong back and forth, I would categorize it. And I claimed that the Suns would be a dark horse. I claimed that the Suns would make the playoffs. I claimed that the Tyus Jones pickup, the coaching changes, it would all be enough to get the Suns where they wanted to be. And I could not be more wrong. And you're never going to bat 1,000 in this job, but that was certainly a strikeout for me. So hand up, I was wrong on that. But in this game, where the Thunder did, finally put an end to this Suns season to where it had to give the obituary of the prediction, Jalen Williams, J-Dub, both Jalen Williamses, to be clear, but specifically J-Dub for this instance, he continues to play the best basketball of his season, I would argue of his career, at the exact right time. Because as we start to preview the playoffs, again, starting as soon as Sunday, and we're going to have billions of shows as we did last year through the playoffs, the biggest question is going to be, who's the number 2 option? Do the Thunder have a number 2 option? How consistent is the number 2 option? The number 2 scoring option this year is J-Dub. And they need him to step up. And last night, I thought it was his best game ever. Again, not his best statistical game, but his best game ever at controlling the game. The way that the Thunder won those secondary minutes in the second quarter was massive in that win against Los Angeles. The way that they kept everything steady for just 2 minutes in the fourth quarter before SGA got back in there was all you needed. That's the recipe. That's the formula, is having J-Dub be an under control guy who can set up others, but more importantly, hit tough shots in his own right, get to his spots consistently, and produce. The last 2 nights, he's done that. Tonight in a different role because he was filling in for SGA, who was sidelined with a shin injury, getting some rest. J-Dub, 33 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 6 free throw attempts, going 5 for 6 at the stripe, 2 for 6 from 3, and shot 56% overall. Was a +8 in this game. But again, it came down to just him getting to his spots and being just automatic offensively at working the mid-range, at getting downhill to the rim. And then only 5 assists. That's not as eye-popping as some other guys around the league. But when you factor in potential assists, and when you factor in hockey assists, when you factor in just how connective he was, he did more than his job on the ball. He also had some highlight plays off the ball as well, which is going to be his role alongside Shea, which was good to see. He was able to play that role even without Shea, obviously. But J-Dub was just really good tonight. He was really good against Los Angeles last night. He was really good against Houston. That's just this week. He's been excellent since he came back from that injury that he suffered, the hip injury that he suffered against Denver. That's what you need. Mark talked about it whenever we asked him about chasing the number 1 overall seed. He mentioned how he doesn't really care about that. The priorities are to be healthy, to be fresh, to be confident heading into the playoffs, with confidence being key. And there's no bigger confidence boost for Jalen Williams as the number 2 scoring option than this week. Houston, Los Angeles, the Suns. And Sunday was a kind of throwaway game for everybody. Nobody played good against the Lakers on Sunday. Nothing went right for OKC on Sunday. And that's going to happen. That has the potential to happen in the playoffs, just like it did to Dallas last year. Like, we forget that Dallas last year against Oklahoma City had a nothing game 1. The Thunder just imposed their will on Dallas in game 1. Then the Thunder lost the series. So, like, it's capable to have those games in the playoffs and that not be a doomsday scenario. But by and large, in 3 really competitive games, and you only lost 1 of them, Jalen Williams played really good basketball. That's what you need consistently if you're going to reach your goals. That's what's going to be the most pivotal. And so it was good to see that from J-Dub. On a similar note, because we're going to talk about J-Dub's defense, like with his just great timing, great instincts, and great measurables. Like, his arm length is spectacular at disrupting plays. He was a defensive disruptor this game. He's been elite. J-Dub has been elite defensively all season long. J-Dub has to be on an all-defensive team. He had 3 steals tonight. Alex Caruso getting another start for the Thunder, a rare one. had 5 steals in this game as the Suns were kicking the ball all over the floor, making a mess of their offense in the second half. Alex Caruso had 5 steals. He also had 5 rebounds, all of which came on the defensive end to end possessions. He also had 3 assists. And oh yeah, he had a Thunder career high 19 points. He got to the free throw line 6 times, made 5 of them just like J-Dub, went 2 for 4 from 3, and shot 75% from the floor, including a Statue of Liberty dunk in the fourth to really put the exclamation point on a plus 23 performance on the box score plus minus for Alex Caruso. His impact was a winning impact. And that's the guy. Like that's what you've done all this. Like that's a glue guy. That's a veteran leadership guy. That's a playoff, 16 game player guy. We talk a lot about who can play in those 16 wins that you need to win the finals versus 82. He's a 16 gamer. He's done it before. He's had big moments in the playoffs before. His game is catered to that style versus the regular season style, and the numbers and stuff reflect that style. He was awesome tonight. On the second night of a back-to-back. So really good from Caruso. Caruso was good too. He did a lot of good cheering on the sidelines. Then you had Chet. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 13 free throws. That's the story for Chet. He was relentless at attacking this Suns team who had nobody to even hold him up, who had nobody to even make him think twice about getting into that painted area. And he was a matchup nightmare. You were forced to foul him. You had no other choice. And he had 12 of his 22 points at the free throw line because the Suns just had nothing left to do but foul. And shot 41% from the floor overall. He was a deterrence at the rim, which again won't show up in the box score because he technically had 0 blocks and 0 steals. But the way that you see guys head into the paint and then just think twice and kick the ball out, like that's Chet. I'll say it again. The founder of Locked On, David Locke, shout out to him, created screen assists, popularized screen assists. I think he created them, but he for sure popularized them to highlight the impact of Rudy Gobert. There should be a intimidation stat for Chet Holmgren around the ring to kind of highlight just how great he is as an anchor of this defense. So Chet was awesome. Jada was awesome. Caruso was awesome. And, I think that Isaiah Joe, who kind of did it all today in the sense of, he hauled in 5 rebounds. He had 3 assists. He had a steal. And he was an excellent point of attack defender in a game in which you lacked 2 of your best. Your 2 best point of attack guys, Avalou and Kaysen. He was really good on the defensive side of the floor. I thought his offensive game was really good too, despite the box score not saying that. He only went 2 for 8 from the floor and 1 for 6 from 3. But it was kind of the inverse of like shot variance, where we talk about shot variance usually as like a positive, like, oh, that team's not going to hit, like the Lakers on Sunday. Oh, they're not going to hit that shot every single night. The shots that Isaiah Joe was creating for himself in the mid-range and the shots that he took from the 3-point line are all stuff that's repeatable, are all stuff that you want him to get to and you want him to get those shots off. And he's such a talented shooter that you feel like this was a one-off in terms of results, but the process was there for Isaiah Joe tonight. I thought that the process was really high for him. And then Wiggins shoots 50% from the floor. A couple of those were putbacks, which was very instinctive of him as he finishes with 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. I think that he's still working his way back from missing that time with the Achilles issue. So it was a step in the right direction for Wiggins. It wasn't like a banner Wiggins night, and that's the starting 5 for OKC. But there was a couple bench standout performers as well, who we're going to talk about coming up. But first, I want to tell you right now, our good friends over at DoorDash, go check out DoorDash today, because NBA fans, get ready. As they swish, you save thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you can score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more points in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So check it out today at DoorDash, because whether you want lunch on the go after staying up late to watch this 9 p.m. tip, perhaps you realized just now you forgot to pack your lunch. Well, order it on DoorDash with the Dash Pass and be ready to save when any player scores 50 or more points in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off in order the next day, up to $10 off just by using the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating locations. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash and Dash Pass to learn more. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Well, off the bench, Jalen Williams returned. He was out 4 games, and he made 4 threes to make up for it. 4 for 5 from beyond the arc, 12 points. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. J-Will, man, he's going to have a moment in the playoffs. I think that the Thunder will need him to have a moment in the playoffs. And it's obviously, with all due respect to J-Will, likely not going to be a planned moment. It will not be something that, you dream up in your head of, okay, this is what the game plan is to have J-Will have a moment. But you see how these games can be impacted by the officials. And some, I say that as in fouls. Like if Chet Holmgren is really juiced up and he's contesting every shot at the rim and he gets a couple quick citations in the first quarter, then in the second quarter, he reaches his hand in the cookie jar. Then he has one ticky-tack one go against him, where he's banging bodies down low and they hit him for a foul. And now even Mark's philosophy of letting guys play through foul trouble, which is an excellent philosophy and one that I think is 100% logical because it's so infuriating. This happens a ton in college, even some in the NBA, where coaches have this arbitrary mark of like, well, two before half, you just can't play him. You're fouling him out. You have no idea if he's going to get up to the limit, right? You're fouling him out on your own accord. I love Mark's principles. There is still a line to the principle where it's like, well, you just have to take him out. He's too valuable to even run the risk if you get up to 3 or 4 in the first half. And at that point, you're turning to J-Will. And you trust J-Will with what he's shown you since the trade deadline of who he is as a player and how he's progressed as a player. And you look at who the possible matchups are, which right now is half the dang conference. So it doesn't really narrow it down. But a lot of them have situations where you could see foul trouble down low. And hopefully not. But if you do, an X factor in this playoffs can be, what if J-Will comes in whenever Chet or Hartenstein gets in foul trouble and he knocks down a couple threes? That would be demoralizing because you're thinking, okay, if either one of them gets in foul trouble, you've taken away one of their top 5 talented players on their roster and forced them to the bench. But then here comes J-Will. And if he can light it up from 3, that's going to be something that really helps the Thunder win. Similarly, with Kenrich Williams, who went 2 for 3 tonight from 3. Let's say that same scenario plays out where perhaps you didn't plan on, okay, at the 5-minute mark, we're putting in Kenrich no matter what. What if you get in foul trouble and say, you know what, let's just try to go small. Let's just play small ball. We've shown them double bigs. We've shown them one big. Now one of the bigs is in foul trouble whenever it's their turn to be the single big in the rotation. Let's just put in Kenrich and play small. And he knocks down a couple tray balls and he really helps you turn the tide of the game. Like, these are the things that you don't think about right now because you're kind of previewing the playoffs through the lens of if everybody played their A+ game, which does not always happen in a 7-game series. But those are 2 guys who you'd love to turn to. Like, look at who other teams would be turning to under these scenarios. Not as good as J-Will and Kenrich. Not as good as them. And so, like, when Mark talks about wanting the team, like, more importantly than even winning the number 1 overall record, which they did anyway, to be confident heading into the playoffs, the stretch that J-Will's been on his last 5, 6, 7, 8 games, his confidence has to be at an all-time high. The season that Kenrich has put together quietly as a shooter, his confidence is at an all-time high when that ball leaves his fingertips, which is great for the Thunder. And then Dylan Jones. Shout out Dylan Jones, who I don't think should play a single second in the playoffs, with all due respect. I don't think that there's really even a nightmare scenario where he should step on the floor unless it's a blowout. But in this game, with a chance to help his team down these guys, because you were not just down the 4 key rotational pieces. You were still down Usman Jang, still down AJ Mitchell, still down Alex Dukas. And the Thunder were able to rely on Dylan Jones to play his best NBA minutes. Now, it's not saying a ton, but it is saying something that he was able to come around this season as a defender, to where I thought defensively he had the block to show for it, but even just as a guy who forced the ball away from people and stuck onto their man and contested shots and did all the right things defensively, even with no stats to back that up, I thought he did that really well. I thought offensively, this was his best game, which sounds ridiculous whenever he scores 2 points, but it was his best game because it was his best processing game. It was his best feel game. He made quick, good decisions with the ball in his hands. His one bucket came with an excellent gather, which is one area of a season that's had a lot of ups and a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys, even in the G League. Like, that's been an area of his game that he's excelled at, is how he uses a high gather or a low gather and kind of maneuvers through the defense using those 2 steps to get to the rim. He did that tonight for his one make. I thought that Dylan Jones was a glue guy tonight and was really good in the 19 minutes that he played, even though he was a -3. I thought he was his best self in those 19 minutes. So that's good. And you should see a lot more of Dylan Jones in Utah and in New Orleans. And we're still going to recap those games. Trust me, we will. Shout out Adam Flagler. Adam Flagler, friend of the pod. 1 for 2 tonight, played 8 minutes. Got himself a bucket early on. That's about it. The Thunder eliminate the Suns. The Thunder get the top record in the NBA. I'm still Rylan Stiles, still host of Locked On Thunder. We're going to have a ton of guests for you coming up next week to preview the playoffs. We're going to kind of talk about, as we do, the best, the worst, the most likely case scenarios for how the season will go in the postseason. And this has just been a super fun year. And I get it. This team is so good that they've played themselves into this scenario where anything short of a title feels disappointing. But the craziest part is it's just the beginning. Like, getting excited watching Chet Holmgren play tonight, then you remember this is a guy who's coming off of a hip fracture, an injury we've never seen before in the NBA. And he's back to this level of play. And he still has the ceiling of a top 20 player in this league. He still has the ceiling of someone who all 30 teams want on their roster. And it would be unfair to hold him to that standard, for this season. But like, that's just a testament to they're going to keep getting better. Chet's going to keep getting better. Jadab's going to keep getting better. Cason Wallace, you've seen the improvements of his game from year 1 to year 2. That's going to keep getting better. So no matter what they do this year, which they very well could win the whole thing this year. They certainly could win the West this year. But no matter what they do this year, they're just going to keep getting better. It's so crazy that they're this good in the infancy stages of what this core is. Now, there's always going to be moving parts to some of the roster, but the core of it, the nucleus of it, man, it's just a fun time to be in OKC. I really hope that everyone's appreciating it, kind of soaking it in. Speaking of soaking, the Utah Jazz are up next, and looking forward to whatever is in store for this Thunder team. Until tomorrow, we're probably going to go back and talk about how these things are shaping up now that we don't know much about the standings, but we at least know the teams. Like, we at least know that the Suns are out, the Blazers are out, the Spurs are out, the Pelicans are out, the Jazz are out. We at least know that, Malik Monk is going to be out for the Kings in the play-in tournament. Does that change your perception of what the Kings can do? So we know some more things about the play-in tournament where we can kind of start to try to whittle it down. We know that the Lakers and the Rockets are going to be in the 2 and the 3. So it's going to be interesting to talk about it tomorrow, of just how things are looking heading into the weekend, the final weekend of the NBA season. So stay tuned for that. And of course, back to recap the Jazz game and the final game of the regular season down in New Orleans. Until then, be good and be good to one another.